My name is Jasmine, I'm 34 years old. I've lived in 8 different states, but California has been my main home. I was an alcoholic addict for a little over 10 years, and I've been clean for almost 8 months now. It was miserable. I was in so much pain, mentally and emotionally and physically. You know, I got to the point where I really didn't want to be alive anymore, but I didn't want to die either. I had a hospital stay. I had, you know, they made the promise, like, I'm not going to do this anymore so many times. And I couldn't hold on to that promise because I hadn't accepted that I had no control over this disease, that it had full control over me, and that I needed help with it. So it was just a really agonizing way to live. Super painful. I was very alone. I was wearing this mask all the time, trying to pretend like everything was okay when it was really not okay. I spent, you know, the working hours, then, you know, the normal 9 to 5. I was a manager at Amazon, and I had made a career out of that, but that was falling apart because long-term alcoholism and addiction will eventually wreck everything in your life, no matter how solid it might seem at one point. And I was getting to that point. For me, my career was who I was. That's how I defined myself, as a successful human being. And that was kind of the last barrier between me and my reality check. Because that started to fall apart, and I realized that this is really serious, and that I needed to go get help. The fun thing about being an alcoholic addict is that you're insane, and I say that with a lot of sarcasm, but it's very true. You are insane. You don't make rational decisions. For example, I was lying on my bathroom floor after drinking and smoking pot and taking pills, and I was choking on my own vomit, and my phone wasn't anywhere near me. I had no one to call, no one nearby, that like I couldn't even bang on the door like next door, because I was literally laying on the floor in my bathroom choking on my own vomit, like, is this how I'm gonna die? And it didn't stop me. As I got out of the hospital, even knowing that you know, like, I needed to change my life, like this was a bad idea, like what I was doing was not gonna work out, I still went right back to doing all the same behaviors. I mean, I have an alcoholic mother, I have addiction and other mental disease in my family. Nothing stopped me from doing what I was doing. So for me, there wasn't one defining moment. There was a buildup. It was now so blatantly obvious to me that I was either gonna die because of what I was doing, or I was going to have to make a choice to go change and get help with that change, because I couldn't do it on my own. And that was it. I was with Kaiser, and I was in the alcohol and addiction program through Kaiser. You know, they told me that, you know, if you don't change, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up in the office. And he's the one that found Diamond House for me. And I couldn't have been more lucky, honestly. So there's a stigma to being in rehab. You know, you're going to get labeled. You're going to, what do you tell your job? What do you tell other adults in your life? I was terrified. I need an adultier adult to make decisions for me, because I obviously can't make good decisions. When I was going into rehab, I was expecting to go into like a hospital environment where I was going to be seeing people in you know, nurses' uniforms and have to line up with for my cup, you know, be wearing the robe and everything. That's what I was expecting, and drove up to a house in the middle of a neighborhood, and I was confused. And I actually remember calling and being like, am I in the right place? I'm not sure I'm in the right place. And the lady on the other end was like, oh no, that happens all the time. Everything was explained to me, but it wasn't explained to me in an overwhelming way. For me, it eased a lot of that fear and a lot of that anxiety, because I felt like I had my own little place within the facility. It didn't feel like a facility, it felt like a home. Realizing that there was structure, that I was gonna know what was going on, and that it was like a class-like environment, as well as a group therapy environment, as well as having access to therapists, counselors. You know, I didn't have to worry about where my food was coming from. I didn't have to worry about laundry. I didn't have to worry about really anything. It was a break from the reality of the world so that I could turn my focus inward in a healthy way. Prior to that, turning my focus inward was not good. In this environment, not only was I able to turn my focus inward, I was able to do it with basically a council of people that I could run by, like, hey, does this sound right to you? And they're like, no, Jasmine. Or, yes, Jasmine. And it just gave me time to breathe and to like come back to myself from the, like I said, the insanity, you know? I mean, it's still there, and it's been 8.5 months, and I'm still working on it. It's gonna be a long process. I mean, like I said, it's been 10 years. It's a lot of damage. Being able to go into an environment where you had that one-on-one, like weekly, bi-weekly, whatever you needed, whatever was assessed as your needs, you got a lot more bang for your buck in such a short period of time. It was crazy. I found out I had dissociative disorder. I didn't even know what that was. And that attributed to a lot of my memory problems. I didn't know. I was told that a lot of things I really needed to hear. And I was able to correct some of the really wrong thinking that I had in just a short period of time. I was only there for 45 days. That's a big thing that I learned about myself was, you know, that the isolation and the loneliness had really been eating away at me for so long. And I just craved that genuine understanding of someone else that had been through an enormous amount of bullshit and had tried to drink about it. It is a very hard spot to be because you don't want to be the person you are in this moment. Don't let your inside voices drown out what you're hearing from the people around you that care about you.